What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sam's Fan Reacts. I have no idea what I'm doing, but all I know is I have to get this out because it's like wrecking my brain. Okay. I have seen so many content creators and so many people point the finger at Erika, saying that like Erika's Charlie's handler and all of this and all of that. And with all of the recent events of the things that have come out about Erika, I have my concerns, but in a different direction. I truly believe that the person who's at the top of the pyramid and who's orchestrating literally every step of Erica's life is none other than Lori Frantzve, her mother. And I'm going to tell you how I come to that conclusion on Sam's Fan Reacts. I was in the streets of Reddit, right? And I came across this post on Reddit, and where a reader made a post saying that her best friend was one of the caretakers for Lori in Arizona and was just telling things about the family, saying that like Charlie was never home. So Erika was basically a trophy wife, and Charlie couldn't stand the fact that his wife was a trophy wife, and his mother-in-law was one of the meanest people in the world. She was so evil, but she was obsessed with Charlie. And this person said that Charlie, hold on, let me read this. So she says that about the mom, that for some reason the mother-in-law was hyper obsessed with Charlie and his podcast. She would watch him every day at 11 and regurgitate the worst parts of it like it was the Bible. My friends visited their apartment only once when Lori was visiting Erika, and the entire place looked like it was hit by a tornado. Unopened Amazon packages everywhere, and children drew with crayons all over the wall because no one was taking care of them, and Charlie wasn't home to be the actual father. So after I saw that on Reddit, I ran on over to TikTok. And when I ran on over to TikTok, I think I found the caretaker. Guys, meet Carly for Christ over on TikTok. You absolutely have to go give her a follow and watch her videos on the elite family that she cared for. Some of this stuff will blow your mind, but I just want you guys to see why I knew that it was her, that she was the caretaker. Check out Carly, and we're going to react to that.
Okay, the video that I'm about to make is very brave and bougie of me to do. So if you want to scroll, go ahead, because honestly, it might be better for me. Okay, so if you've been following me for a while, there was like a few months ago that I was working for an elite family by accident. That's a whole other story. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. They work heavily in the military, lived in Egypt, lived in Germany. Now, I'm not going to say what their jobs are now because I got to be careful. But long story short, I could be literally killing myself by spreading this video, but at the end of the day, God is watching over me. So we're just going to talk about it, okay? Because I'm not working for them anymore, so I feel like I have more safety. And when I originally posted about this, it got a lot of freaking views and likes too quick, and then I deleted it and got scared that I was going to get harmed. Okay, long story short, so let's get into it. So I worked for this family. You can call me crazy if you want, but if you're into like intel, I'll be the whistleblower here. I worked for this family. It was this elderly-ish woman and a husband, not like so old that they got dementia and stuff, but probably like 60s or something like that, 50s, 60s. And her husband still worked for the military. He has like a very important job. She, on the other hand, can't really work for the military anymore because she's got this rare autoimmune disease. That's what I was there for, to take care of her. Now, granted, so she was a what is the star, the Eastern Star. She was an Eastern Star. She worked in aerospace. She did a lot of secret stuff for the government. Hold on, my son's waking up. Okay, so she did a lot of secret stuff for the government, and she ended up telling me some stuff about some stuff while she was like really tired one day, and she really trusted me, and I got this conversation on video, and I probably should not be saying that. She didn't know either that I got it on video.
Oh my God.
So she told me, and like, if as Christians, we know that aliens are actually demons. She told me that she actually has spoken to them before, that these aliens, demons, are working with our government. I think we already know that, but the craziest thing that she ever told me the craziest thing was that they are creating hybrids, doing the Nephilim stuff that they did during the flood, and how they're doing this, and apparently it's mostly happening in California, is like a woman will go in to go get artificially inseminated by anonymous donor sperm, but it's actually sperm taken from aliens. And then at 3 months pregnant, they think that they're having a miscarriage. I guess it's like a natural process in this, but they're not. And so then they go to the hospital and they have a DNC. You know, they go under, they have a DNC. They take that baby and then they host it inside of some weird incubator sac inside of a secret pyramid that we don't know exists. It's like underground or something. And the pyramid has like this ancient technology that's supposed to make these things like super smart. And then they like do some stranger things. And then they host it inside of some weird incubator sac inside of a secret pyramid that we don't know exists. It's like underground or something. And the pyramid has like this ancient technology that's supposed to make these things like super smart. And then they like do some stranger things type stuff where they like train them. And so they're like my age, I'm like 23. And then they use them for military purposes or spiritual purposes.
Okay, real quick. I just want to stop that there for 1 second. Y'all, you know how I have seen so many content creators and so many people talk about how, like, even Candace has hinted at this, talk about how, like, Erika isn't a real person. And stuff came out today about that raises questions about her actual being born. Like, all of these things are coming into play. A, I believe that this woman was absolutely the caretaker for Lori. And B, I truly believe that Lori told her these things and that these things are to be believed because they're real to Lori. But I'm going to play the rest of her TikTok on that one in particular. And then you guys can run over it and watch the rest of the videos of the secrets that she revealed. But I just really needed to show you guys that I found the caretaker. And this is going to lead me to why I believe that Lori is actually Charlie's handler and not Erika. So let's finish up with the caretaker.
That sounds crazy. I know. I'm not saying it's true, like all for entertainment purposes. But I may not have been told that by somebody that directly said they spoke to these things. Also told me that there's 3 different species of these Nephilim beings that she has met in person, especially back in her days of like being in Egypt and Germany and stuff. She said she had actually went on Area 51 a long time ago. She met, so there's like the grays that we know about, but their skin is like thin and like oily or like elastic. And she said they're like very short. And then there's like also these insect, part something else beings. And then I forgot the third kind. Oh. But she said that they're extremely intelligent and that it's our government's idea to not expose them, but that our government has been working with them for a very long time. And that right now their biggest mission is to like change human DNA. And they're not only doing it through the hybrid thing. She told me that they're also doing it through vaccines. We already knew this. Through the food we eat, the water we drink. I feel safer now talking about this, but I don't know how safe I am talking about it. I don't know. Last time I talked about this, I was literally inside of her house hiding and like showed artifacts in their house and like plaques to prove I was not BSing.
So that's Carly. And I believe Carly is the caretaker. And the things that Carly says and the stories that Carly tells, it's a whole rabbit hole in itself. I encourage everyone to go find Carly. And she said she did not sign an NDA and she don't have no problem talking. So maybe Candace or Coach Colin, Barron, somebody needs to talk to Colin to get more, talk to Carly to get more information on Lori. Because I believe Lori's the one truly pulling the strings. So after putting those two together, I went on over to the streets of X because that's where all the drama is aired out on X with no censorship, no nothing over there, right? So I ran across this video from a creator by the name of, I don't want to say his name wrong, Duopoly Destroyer. Okay. And Dual Poly Destroyer did a video on Erika Kirk being Charlie's handler. And it brought other points to the surface. But let's listen to Duo Poly Destroyer's video on Erika Kirk being Charlie's handler, and we're going to talk about it.
There are some people now saying that Erika Kirk was an Israeli honeypot for Charlie Kirk. And I'm not going to lie, when you look at some of the details of their life and relationship, it does look a little bit suspicious. So let's first get the obvious out of the way. Erika Kirk actually admits that she saw Charlie Kirk on her first pilgrimage to Israel.
I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me. And in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time. But nothing is by coincidence.
But she pretends in the speech like she didn't know who he was and didn't recognize him, despite at the time Charlie Kirk being one of, if not the most popular young conservative in the world because of his campus tours with TPUSA. Yeah, so
also, even though she pretended she didn't know who he was, I can almost promise you and guarantee you, Lori knew exactly who Charlie Kirk was. Her being a big hitter and a heavy hitter in Arizona and Arizona politics, and Charlie and TPUSA, she knew who Charlie was, and Erika did too.
Anyway, 3 months later, they were dating, and then she says that.
Well, I want to correct that. She didn't say they were dating 3 months later. She said 3 months into their relationship, they were doing date stamp comparisons, and then that's when they realized that they were both in Israel at that time. I did want to point that out.
That's when they realized they just coincidentally were in Israel together. Wow. It must have been fate. Now, here's where things start getting a little bit weird. Erika Kirk, former Miss Arizona, was a multi-millionaire before she met Charlie Kirk. Now, supposedly most of these millions stemmed from a podcast and a nonprofit organization called Romanian Angels, a nonprofit organization that she created alongside her mother that ran from roughly 2011 to 2016 or 17. Now, this nonprofit organization worked alongside American soldiers, the U.S. military, that were stationed on a NATO base nearby. And oh, by the way, all of this was done completely and totally off the books. Yeah, not suspect at all. And they worked to help orphaned little girls in Romania. Now, some of you might be asking, is Erika Romanian? No, she isn't. Is Erika Kirk's mom Romanian? No, she isn't. She's actually a Swedish immigrant. Well, Erika's dad must be Romanian. No one actually knows who Erika Kirk's dad is, which probably makes all this a little bit more suspect, but I digress. So despite not having a mother connected to the military, not knowing who her father is, and not being Romanian in the least, she was able to create a nonprofit organization and get help coordinating her efforts from the U.S. military from local NATO bases in Romania. Now,
real quick, I have to find, where did Romania come from? Why did they choose Romania to have her organization? She could have launched this nonprofit anywhere in the world. Why did they choose Romania? And that picture of her kissing that kid on the cheek, it gives me the creeps.
Probably doesn't hurt to mention that Romania is one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
That's the answer.
And there were some trafficking accusations that have been lobbed in the direction of not just the organization, but adoption agencies that work alongside the organization. And yeah, these are only accusations, but I feel like they're worth mentioning considering the fact that some random girl from Arizona was able to start a nonprofit organization working along the U.S. military, and they decided to keep everything off the books. Kind of hard to know if you were guilty of trafficking people if no one has any records of anything you did. In fact, Supposedly, her nonprofit was barely recognized, but it was recognized enough to work with the U.S. military. Fast forward, she meets Charlie Kirk in Israel.
And it was recognized enough to be shut down and her banned from Romania by the government due to these CT offenses allegedly committed in Romania. Let's not forget that.
Doesn't recognize him, but then has a job interview with Charlie Kirk in New York.
I will never get past this job interview angle that they're trying to sell us, because you're already a multimillionaire and you have so much to do. You got so many things you're going for. You're trying to be an Instagram model and you're trying to do this and do that, be in movies and all of this stuff. Why do you need to work for TPUSA? Why do you need to be a secretary for Charlie type stuff? Like, what? That makes absolutely no sense to me. And Tyler Boyer is the one who introduced them, who was also a good friend of the mom, Lori Frantzve, because they've been knowing each other for years. Tyler Boyer, Lori Frantzve, and Cabot Phillips, their family has deep roots and deep ties to each other and to Arizona. So it's not a coincidence that all of these people are shelling themselves around Charlie. Not a coincidence at all.
Very soon after, that job interview turns into a date, and then they end up married.
Dude, Charlie probably didn't know what hit him. Oh my God. Can you imagine how lucky he must have felt to have a woman such as beautiful as Erika, who has been trained her entire life for this role?
Now, Erika Kirk, loyal to Israel, who's refused to really engage in any opinion whatsoever regarding this threatening intervention between Charlie Kirk and Bill Ackman and his Israeli donors, that Erika Kirk is now the CEO of TPUSA. $150 million plus nonprofit organization that will now be completely and totally loyal to Israel. I'm just saying, it's kind of weird how that little girl who was born in Ohio with a dad that we don't know and a mom who was supposedly not all that important ends up being Miss USA, starts a nonprofit organization in Romania, becomes a talent director, ends up in New York with a job interview with a guy that she just got done seeing in Israel, gets married to him, and then becomes the CEO of the largest conservative nonprofit organization in the world. Wow, that's really impressive, really coincidental, and really suspicious. That's all I'm saying.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You can't make it make sense. You cannot make sense of that. But there's always a but, right? So we have seen, the internet is just infiltrated with so many clips and so many sound bites of Erika saying how, she didn't date prior to Charlie for 5 years. She didn't drink, and all of that has been debunked with video evidence. But what really caught my attention was this particular post on X. This post is what caught my attention. So this is a video of 2018 New Year's. And I want you to remember, she said she hadn't dated anyone for 5 years prior to Charlie, okay? So this particular New Year's, the people I want you to pay attention to in this video is Erika, her mom, Lori, and Cabot Phillips is there. Check this out. That is so weird. Her mom is just so weird, man. She is so weird. So what do we know? We know that this is what I believe. I believe that Lori and Cabot love each other because they've been in each other's lives for generations. Cabot's pretty much known Lori her whole life. Cabot and Erika fell in love and they love each other. But Lori and them need to take control of TPUSA, and the only way to do that will be to remove Charlie. So in order for them to do that, they got to put somebody on them. And who do they choose? Erika. Erika has trained her whole entire life for a role like this. to perfectly position her in power and with a whole lot of money, as if she even needed it to begin with. But this is a whole lot of money and a whole lot of access. Access to who? Our youth. Okay. So, given this, and then the fact that Erika moved on to Charlie so soon after her mom introduced, or after Tyler introduced them for this job interview, and then him being assassinated not too long after that, that leads me to believe that Lori was indeed the handler. And Erika, you can tell Erika's entire life has been mapped out by Lori, and she's done everything that Lori has trained her to do. Lori's company, this MEZT Tech company, they specialize in cleaning up the internet and repairing your image. Okay. So that's what they did to Erika's image prior to her relationship and marriage to Charlie, but they just didn't dig deep enough. And they didn't count on the internet sleuths that are interneting today to be able to undig what they thought was buried. So I believe that Lori positioned Erika to be in a position where she would meet and marry Charlie. And when Charlie's stances on Israel and other things began to change, and he wanted to follow the money with this Doge audit, then it was it. That was time. And you also have to remember there's a life insurance policy, a $50 million life insurance policy at play here. And who's the beneficiary of that life insurance policy? A company by the name of GGLF23. GG, their daughter's name, LF, Lori Frantzve, 23, the year the insurance policy was created. They're the beneficiary of that $50 million life insurance policy in connection with Turning Point. So Turning Point USA and GGLF 23, they're the owners of this policy. So they'll both get the proceeds from this $50 million life insurance policy. So for people to say that look away from Turning Point USA and stop asking questions to Turning Point USA in regards to Charlie Kirk's assassination, that is completely asinine, because all roads, all directions, all roads lead to TPUSA. And for me, it leads to Erika's mom, Lori Frantzve, being Charlie's actual handler. I wouldn't be surprised if Erika and Cabot now do get together, because remember what Candace Owens' whistleblower said. He said he saw Erika Kirk and Cabot Phillips at the hotel the night before the meeting at Fort Huachuca. And you notice as soon as Fort Huachuca was mentioned, then all hell broke loose on the internet for Candace. Just like when the Egyptian planes were mentioned. Keep it in mind also, Lori lived in Egypt along with Erika. So the concept of Egyptian planes tracking her, that's not so far-fetched when you know their history. It is very possible that these Egyptian trains are tracking her and were tracking her and have been tracking her since she's been back in the States and tracking her relationship with Charlie. And he just happened to be collateral damage. He fell in love with the wrong woman who had the wrong intentions, and it shows. And the only justice for Charlie right now at this point, it would not be Tyler Robinson being convicted for something he didn't do. The only justice for Charlie right now would be for the cancer to be cut out of TPUSA and it become the organization for which he truly built it to be. Because as of right now, it's not it. It's being taken control of and occupied by a foreign government and an entire foreign entity by the name of Erika Kirk. And I hate to see it happen.